Why?
Namo Doi Savariyandam, Namo Doi Savariyandam, Namo Doi Savariyam, Namo Doi Savariyam, Namo Doi Savariyavati Savanam, Omkara Mindu Sanyukta Nityam Jayanti Yogina, Kamadam Mokshadam Shri Omkaraya Namo, Manganam Bhagavanayo, Manganam Bhutamayo, Manganam Kunkundari, Ujendram Bhusumangaram, Namasamari Sadhana.
One second, okay, hold it. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Arintanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Siddhanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Aryanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Ujjayanam. Om Namo Loe Sarvatrikavarti Savanam. Omkaram Bindu Sanyuktam Nityam Dhayanti Yoginam Kamadam Moksadam Chaiva Omkaraya Namo Namo. Namah Samay Saraya Swanubhutya Chakasate Chitsubhavaya Bhavaya Sarva Bhavantarachide Agnanatiranjanam Gnana Anjana Salakaya Chaksuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Tirthankaro Jagatana Jayavantavarto Omkaranada Jinano Jayavantavarto Jinana Samo Sarana Sau Jayavantavarto Ne Tirthachara Jagama Jayavantavarto Namo E Tirthanayakane Namo Omkaranadane Omkara Sangaryotene Namo Te Sri Kunda Kundane Aho Upakara Jinavarano Kundano Dvari Divyano Jina Kunda Dhani Apya Aho Te Guru Kanano Aho Te Bhagavati Matano Dhruva Achalane Anupam Gati Pamel Sarve Siddhane Mandi Kahon Sutta Kevali Bhasita Asamaya Prabhrata Are एक शुद्ध सदा रूपी ज्ञान दर्शनमय कर कहीं अन्य ते मारु जली परमाणु मात्र नथी जम नेत्र ते मज ज्ञान नथी कारक नथी वेद कर जाने जकर मोदय निरजरा बंद ते मज मोक्ष ने ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्यो Om Sri Shuddhatmane Namaha. Jai Jinendra. Today is March 8, 2017, Wednesday, and we are continuing our discussion on Samaisar. We are on Samaisar stanza 11, and here we go. So let me bring the slides. Share screen. Share screen. Okay, all right. 77. 1 second. Okay. 55. So last week when we stopped, we were on this slide here. 55. 1 second. Okay, we are talking about Karan Paramatma and Karya Paramatma. We are talking cause and effect last week, and we'll just put the things together and then we'll continue going. So cause and effect, as we said last week, cause and effect are present in a same substance. Once again, cause and the effect both are present in a same substance. If there is a cause in the soul, then their effect has to be in the soul only. I'm the cause and you are the effect. That is not true. I'm the cause and you are the effect, and that means the two substances are there. I am there and you are there. Two substances, and cause and effect cannot be there in two substances. Mother is making food for the child. Mother is a cause and child is getting food is an effect. Mother and child, the two substances, cause and effect cannot be there. It has to be in the same substance. So eternal true nature of the self is known as a cause. Karan Paramatma. It's a cause. As this eternal conscious element is present in all living beings. So cause is present in all the living beings because it's an eternal soul substance. It's an eternal soul substance. So cause is present in all the substances of the universe. All the substance means all the souls, means Nigor, lowest form of life, all the way to the highest form of life, which will be Siddha Bhagwan. They all have eternal conscious element present within. That means the cause is present everywhere.
Kirit uncle?
Yeah.
Let me just clarify. This does not apply to matter,
No.
space, time, just the soul substance.
No, it can be applied to any substance, but now our area of interest in 11th stanza is a soul. So that's why we are talking about soul. Same thing, if we take a matter, for example, matter substance, sugar is a substance, sugar is a cause, and sweetness is its mode. Sweetness is its mode. So cause is a sugar and sweetness is a effect. So cause and effect in the same substance. Salt and salty taste, sugar and sweet taste. So those are cause and effect are in same substance. Here we are talking soul now. So soul is a cause because with soul, eternal conscious element, there is a cause.
Here, uncle.
Yes.
How is this different from Vastutva Gun?
Vastutva Gun means I think you are right. Vastutva Gun also we can put it together because Vastutva Gun, causal efficiency attribute, is a Vastutva Gun, means each and every substance perform its own purposeful activity. The soul is performing activity of knowing, and sugar is performing activity of the sweet taste, salt is doing salty taste, and so on and so forth. So we can say that a Vastutva Gun or causal efficiency attribute we can bring over here, try to understand that part. So this is the thing, we are looking from different parameter. What this Karan Paramatma word that is coming from Niyamsar. Niyamsar scripture has this specific word mentioned. And of course, in a Panchastika, when we go, there is a causal efficiency, Vastutva gun can be made also. So here, cause is eternal, conscious element present in all the substance of the universe, all the living being in the universe. That's a cause. Now, what should be the effect then? Omniscience knowledge mode. Omniscience knowledge mode or the right knowledge mode. They are known as Karya Paramatma. Means there's an effect. Cause is eternal soul substance and effect is a omniscience knowledge or right knowledge. Means Keval Gnan or the Samyak Gyan. So cause and effect present in the same substance. Why it is like that? Why does Acharya Bhagavan has to say this kind of things to us? Because Acharya Bhagavan want to maintain the independence of each and every substance. Each and every substance, that their independence is maintained. So if I'm the eternal soul substance as a cause and omniscience knowledge occurring within me, then effect is within me and cause is within me. So independence of the substance is maintained. Means this soul does not have to depend on anybody else for its own omniscience knowledge or right knowledge. Now, the point will be much more clear when we talk knowledge obscuring karma in the picture. Last week I was in New York and Ankit was there, Mami was there, everybody. And what we talk at the time, that knowledge obscuring karma, what is the function of knowledge obscuring karma? When the knowledge obscuring karma goes away and then soul gets omniscience knowledge. Conventionally, that's what we'll be talking about. Knowledge obscuring karma got removed and the soul got omniscience knowledge. Is it true from this sentence, from this Karya Karan Paramatma? No. Why? Because knowledge obscuring karma are here and omniscience knowledge occurring in the soul. Two substances. Cause and effect cannot be in two substances. Then when we go in the Tattvat Sutra, which is called, which is every Jain from no matter what denomination he's coming from, he follows Tattvat Sutra. Tattvat Sutra was written close to 2000 years back by Acharya Umaswati Ji Maharaj. So, in Tattvat Sutra, it says that omniscience knowledge occurs when the knowledge obscuring karma are removed. And over here we are talking that omniscience knowledge occurs when there is a cause as an eternal soul substance and effect is a omniscience knowledge. Both are occurring in the same substance. So why there is controversy? Why there is contradictory statement in two scriptures? There are no contradictions. There are no contradictory sentence. Because in Tattvat Sutra, Acharya Bhagavan wants us to know that when the omniscience knowledge occurs, naturally it is occurring because of cause being the eternal soul substance. And so omniscience knowledge occurs with a cause and effect in the same substance. But at the same time, from the instrumental cause perspective, there is absence of knowledge obscuring karma. So at the same time, Acharya Bhagavan wants us to say, know that remember, instrumental cause is also present and knowledge obscuring karma's absence is also important for obtaining omniscience knowledge. But primary action will occur into the soul substance itself. So cause and effect in the same substance. and knowledge obscuring karma, diminishing or absence, and that is the instrumental cause. Remember our definition of instrumental cause. Instrumental means nimit, or instrumental cause means when there is an action occurring in a given substance, then the associated things present outside is called instrumental cause, which is present but does not take part into the reaction. So from Tattva Sutra perspective, that sentence is true. It is from the conventional point of view. Over here, sentence is true from absolute point of view. So that's why each and every time when we read, and this contradictory statement will come in the literature, then it is our duty to understand that yes, who is talking from which conventional point of view or which absolute point of view. And we have gone through absolute point of view and conventional point of view in detail. So now we have the discriminative mind in our mind. That sentence occurs and we say, okay, this one, eternal soul substance is a cause, and omniscience knowledge or right knowledge is an effect. They both occur in the same substance. Karan means cause and karya means effect, cause and effect. When there is an effect, then cause has to be present. Now, Acharya Bhagavan takes a little turn here. He gives importance to effect and says when the effect is there, cause has to be present in the same substance. In the first bullet, here we are saying the eternal true nature of the self is Karan, Paramatma means cause, as this eternal conscious element is present in all living beings. So this is called eternal conscious element present in any living being is called cause only when the effect is perceived in the modes. So the effect is perceived in my mode. Omniscience knowledge got generated in my mode. Right knowledge got generated in my mode. And when that effect is there, then the cause is blamed to be a cause. Otherwise, for people like us who do not have right knowledge, who do not have omniscience knowledge, then even though eternal conscious element is present in our system, we are still not called cause and effect. So effect has to be there, omniscience knowledge has to be there, right knowledge has to be there. Then this eternal conscious element is blamed as a cause. This cause-effect relationship is perceived in a given substance only as they have inherent relationship. This cause-effect have to have inherent relationship. They have to be dependent on each other. Sweetness depends on the sugar, sugar depends on sweetness. If I give you a needle and I say, take the syringe and take this sweetness out from the sugar, and you will say impossible. Why it's impossible? Because sugar and sweetness are intermingled, inherent relationship. Wherever there is sugar, there is sweetness. Wherever there is sweetness, there is sugar. Wherever there is knowledge, there is soul. Wherever there is soul, there is knowledge. Inherent relationship. Eternal true nature of the soul is known as a Karan Paramatma, means cause only when the effect in the form of purity of knowledge mode is perceived. That's a point we already discussed that one. So effect is there, then eternal conscious element is blamed to be accused to be a cause. So that's a point we had discussed last time, and from there now we are going further. Eternal true nature is present forever in all the living beings, even starting from the lowest form of life, Nigod, all the way to Siddha Bhagwan. Then in between everybody, that eternal true nature is present in all the living beings forever. Only when one takes attention away from alien objects and now directs it to the eternal true nature of the self, then it has been said that he has accepted eternal soul's nature. Remember, within me, eternal soul substance is present. Within lowest form of life, Nigod, eternal soul substance is present. In a wrong believer's soul, eternal soul substance is present. But as long as my attitude, my belief, my attention is directed to the alien objects of the universe, since time infinite, in my wrong belief state, I have put my attention to alien object of the universe. Simply saying, I have attention to this body. When I'm in the Nigod, lowest form of life, in which in 1 second I get birth 18 times and death 18 times in 1 second. This is approximation. Ek saans mein 18 baar, that's what they say. Means in 1 minute, 3,663 times you are born and dead in the lowest form of life. In that situation also, that lowest form of life, living being, has an interest in his body. This is my body. This is my body. If we take 2 examples, if we take hellish soul, and if we take the lowest form of life, Nigod soul, who has a most amount of suffering? Once again, if we take the hellish soul, soul in the hell, infernal soul, and if we take lowest form of life, Nigod soul, remember the infernal soul is a sentient 5 sense life, and the lowest form of life, Nigod cell, has only touch sensation, and it is so microscopic, so minuscule, that if the knowledge becomes a little bit less than that, then it will become non-living. That kind of teeny tiny slightest knowledge, that is also for touch sensation knowledge, is there. Infernal soul has a 5 senses. If somebody is hitting him, he can feel it. Somebody is screaming at him, he can hear that. Somebody is coming to hit him, he can see that. So all 5 senses are there. So now my question to you, which soul has a intense suffering? The infernal soul or the lowest form of life, Nigod soul? Somebody has to answer to me. You can unmute and answer.
Nigod Naji, the lowest form.
Now your answer is right, and now you have to give the reason why.
Because of the Janma and Maran.
You are right. See, what did we say first? We said that Nigod soul takes birth and death 1 second 18 times. 18 times it takes, I think it 1 minute, I think. Whatever. It's 18 times it takes birth and death. 1 second, yes. 1 second, 18 times birth and death. Now, if that is the case, then he has an affinity for the body. This is my body, this is my body, this is my body.
Kirit bhai, any chetna completely avraili chet.
That is also, yes. The consciousness is also blunted, and at the same time, whatever consciousness is exposed, it is towards his body. And because we don't know ourselves. We don't know how much pain that we go through, but at least we have seen people dying in front of our eyes. Our friends, family, grandparents, parents, whatever, people, we have seen them dying, and we have seen this suffering. When you go to the hospital and see the oncology floor and all the things. Last week I was in New York, and in the ICU, I mean, people are dying every day. One bed gets emptied, everything and all the things. And there is intense suffering is going on. And if you have to say 18 times in 1 second, birth and death, birth and death, birth and death, and if you have the love for your body, how much intense suffering you have. So even the Nigot cell has only teeny tiny slightest consciousness exposed, still he has lot more pain and suffering than the hellish soul. The soul in the infernal soul, hellish soul, has also lots and lots and lots of pain and suffering, but he is a five-sense sentient being, and even in the infernal life, soul can do its own personal effort and can possibly obtain some darshan. So that's why there is lot more pain in the Nigot life. So,
Kirit, can I ask a question?
yeah, please.
Okay, I want to be clear. Before we talked about, so if I'm a mithyatva jeev, so I have ownership of my car, and then someone damages my car and I get angry. So the effect, if we call anger the effect, what was the cause?
Cause was your mithyatva.
Mithyatva karma?
No, your mithyatva feeling. Because you have the you have the mithyatva means you have a wrong feeling, right knowledge, right concept, and wrong concept. So you have a wrong concept within. What is the wrong concept? Car is mine. Car is mine.
So that car is mine concept is what we call the cause. That concept, the
wrong concept.
The
mamatva, ekatva, mamatva, kartutva, bhoktrutva. And because I have directed my attention to the alien object, and so something happened to the car because it's mine, that belief is making me unhappy. Car was supposed to have problem. Car was supposed to have accident. It's a matter. It has finite life also. Finite thing in which all the matter particles are going to be separated at certain time. But because I have attachment to, forget about car, my body. When I am dying right now, and because I have attachment to my body, then I'm going to have that much suffering. So in this right time that we have it, in which five senses are working, mind is working, I don't have any Alzheimer right now, all those things are in my favor, that if I understand the true hierarchy, who am I, what's my nature, why I'm here, what's the relationship with the body and everything, if I understand that part, then there is a possibility at the time of separation from this body, I'll be as much peace as possible. So that's that in a wrong concept phase, I become unhappy. Unhappiness is an effect, and a wrong concept is a cause. So in the second bullet, what we are talking over here is because my attention is directed to alien objects, that means he has not accepted his eternal soul's nature. When my attention is drawn to the alien object means body, and then body related other substances. So mainly body, because body and the soul, they remain in the same space point. That's why we call body as a closest relationship with the soul. And so my attention is directed to the body, and as long as my attention is directed to the body, means I'm not experiencing my eternal soul. My faith attribute can be only 2 points, either faith to the alien objects or faith to the self. If I'm at my faith is to the alien objects, means I'm not experiencing myself. But when I'm bringing my attention to the soul substance, then I experience the soul substance. When we come to 17 and 18 stanza on Samaisar, it says that Abal Gopal Sarvene ek samay Atmani Anubhuti thai rahi che. Means every living creature in the universe can have possibility of experiencing self every moment. Then why I'm not experiencing? Because my faith is directed to the alien object. To my body it is attached. It is faith is directed to my body, not to my soul. So when I bring it to the soul substance, then it is always there. It's always there, but I'm not paying attention to that. My soul is also coming in my mode, knowledge mode, soul's illumination occurs. But because my faith is directed to the alien objects of the universe, then I don't pay attention to my soul substance.
Well, Kiranaga, we've established this, right?
Yeah.
Mithyatva, Pramad, Avirati, Yoga.
Pramad Kasha Yoga.
This is all inside.
Yeah.
No, I'm just reiterating. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, all the attention focused to the body, not to the self. When I bring the attention to the self, then it is sitting all the time inside. So then it's called cause. Now, when the mode is taking refuge in the eternal conscious soul substance, then he has accepted pure point of view. Now, Acharya Bhagavan slowly brings us to the case of pure point of view. Pure point of view or absolute point of view, different names are given, but ultimately it's an absolute point of view because now I brought my attention to my eternal soul substance. So my mode takes the attention away from the alien objects, bringing it to the eternal soul substance, and that situation is called pure point of view. When my attention was directed to the alien objects of the universe, it's called impure point of view. Or we can say conventional point of view, or absolute point of view, or we can say impure point of view and pure point of view. Now, when he has a pure point of view, means attention directed to the eternal soul substance, then the right faith mode is generated, and this is the real thing, bhutarth. The word bhutarth comes in this stanza. Vyavahara ne abhutartha darshit suddha ne bhutartha che. Means when the right faith mode is generated as a result of my attention coming to the eternal soul substance, then that's called real thing, or it's called pure point of view, it's called absolute point of view, or it's called bhutarth. Everything is same. Bhut means real. Bhutarth means real thing. So right faith mode generation means fourth spiritual developmental state occurring, in which attention is now directed to the eternal soul substance away from the alien object. Then the right faith mode is generated, and that is called real thing, or it's called pure point of view, it's called absolute point of view, it's called bhutarth, it's called self-realization, it's called samyak darshan, it's called samkit. Different names you can give, whatever name you like it. They have the same meaning. If one keeps attention to the alien objects, then he is not perceived eternal soul substance, and he is considered to be in the wrong faith state. He is in a mithyatva state. He is in a wrong concept state. Now, in a given samay, in a one moment, there is presence of a mode, inclination of attachment, and eternal true state of the soul. In a given moment, in a given samay, remember, in a blink of an eye, innumerable samay pass by. So out of that innumerable samay, even one samay if you take, then each samay has one mode. One samay, one mode. One samay means blink of an eye, innumerable samay pass by, and out of that one samay, that one samay has a presence of a mode. In that presence of a mode, now there is also inclination of attachment present. Who? Wrong concept guy, mithyatva guy. Inclination of attachment is present, and at the same time, eternal soul substance is also illuminated in that mode. This is the mode, knowledge mode. Eternal soul substance get illuminated, and inclination of attachment is also getting illuminated. Both are getting illuminated in the same mode in one samay. So two things are getting illuminated here. Where is my attention? To the alien objects or to my eternal soul substance? That is my purusharth. That is my self-effort. One need to accept only one thing. Two things are illuminated in this mode, and out of which you have to accept only one thing. For time infinite, I have accepted alien objects and put the faith there. The other thing is eternal soul substance getting illuminated, and I made it secondary. So my job, Acharya Bhagavan says, I'm not giving you too many choices. The two choices, you accept one. You take eternal soul substance, your attention, you are on the right path. You put alien objects of the universe, you're on the wrong path. That's all it is. There is nothing, there's no third thing. Now, so much clarity given to us in this form, and if I and you and we don't understand this point, then it's our bad luck. That will continue transmigration cycle forever and ever. But my omniscient Lord has taught me. My holy scripture have taught me. My guru has analyzed all those things and taught me. And if I don't go out of these two, if I don't go on the real state of soul, then I'm not doing favor to my omniscient Lord or scripture or my guru. Do I want to give our panta? Do I want to give my refuge? Do I want to take refuge in the omniscient Lord, holy scripture, and guru? That means they say, those three entities, they say, realize your soul. Take attention away from the alien object. That's all their message is. And that is called taking refuge in their feet. One need to show indifference to the partial point of view for mode and increase of attachment, and thereby make them worthless. So the two things are getting illuminated. First thing, there is a mode here. This is knowledge mode here, which is transient in nature. It lasts for one samay only. So there is no need for me to put faith on this mode, number one. In that mode, increase of attachment is getting illuminated. So I'm not going to put my interest on that also. I'm going to be directing my attention to the eternal soul substance. So my mode to be made worthless means to be considered as a worthless. Then my influence of attachment is considered as a worthless, means hey. There's a new concept we are putting here. Hey, nay, and upade. Worthless thing, worthy thing, and but one which is to be accepted and one to be known. Hey is worthless, nay is knowing, and upade means worthy thing. So three concepts there Acharya Bhagavan is trying to put over here. So one, it says, when we create indifference to the partial point of view for mode, inclusive of attachment, and thereby I'm making them worthless. Remember one thing, this mode is occurring within me, but because it's transient in nature, so I don't want to put my total attention to my mode, and I want to go as a direction to my eternal soul substance way. I want to put attention there. And once I put attention there, then it becomes worthy thing for me. So let's see what it says over here. So mode becomes non-existence, non-true, and produces untrue meaning. Means this is abhutarth. Word abhutarth coming over here. Transient mode, and in that transient mode to also accept the increase of attachment state, both are to be considered secondary, and that's why we are considering secondary, and as a result we just say this is non-existence. Even though mode is present, we just make them way secondary compared to the eternal soul substance. And because we made them secondary, so that's why we just say it's non-existence. Thing is present, mode is present, it's not denied, but compared to on a blackboard, I draw one line, and this line is important to me, but how do I make this line small or non-existent or less important? When I put a big line in front of it. So when I put big line in front of it, this line automatically loses its importance. So when I put eternal soul substance as my priority, then the mode and inclusive attachment, everything being present, but they become non-existence or worthless or non-true, and it produces untrue meaning. One now needs to make eternal true nature of the soul as wholesome, upade. See, there was a word, hey came over here. This was hey. Now, who is important? Who is wholesome? Wholesome, or who is worthy? Upade. Who is upade? Eternal true nature of the soul is a upade. It is existing. Who? Eternal soul substance is existing. It's true and produces true meaning. So now, Acharya Bhagavan, staying within the soul's area, not leaving the soul, he just tells us that eternal soul substance is a true, it's existing, and gives a true meaning. While mode occurring within me is transient in nature, it lasts for one samay only, it is the presence of inclusive attachment, so I make them as untrue or non-existence or producing untrue meaning. Or mode is made hey, and eternal soul substance is made upade. One thing is important for us to remember, we are making the mode as a secondary here. We are making mode secondary, but its existence is there. We are not denying its existence. We don't want to say that mode is not there at all. Mode, no, it's there, but compared to the eternal soul substance, this mode becomes less important. And so as a result of less importance, it becomes untrue, not true, non-existence. For example, you have $1 million in your pocket and I have $5 in my pocket. So compared to your money, I could be called poor. I'm called worthless. But remember, if I'm hungry, that $5 will give me the sandwich to fill my stomach. Your $1 million will not be useful to me. So compared to $1 million, $5 is nothing, but $5 is there, remember. So it's not that it's not present, it is present, but it is compared to the other thing, it is less value. Compared to eternal soul substance, the mode becomes less value, even though it is present. And that point will be coming a lot more in 12th stanza, that the mode is present, but we are making it less important. Now, same thing coming over here, example. In muddy water, one has his attention to the dirtiness. In this flask, we see only dirty water, because my attention is to the dirt. Now, in the same water, one is not able to perceive the purity of water as it is made invisible. I don't see pure. Where is pure water here? I don't see pure. It's dirty water. Means dirtiness, I gave importance to it. Then the purity of water is present. In this muddy water, there is a purity still present. Purity of water is present, coolness of water is present, quality of coolness is present, purity is present, sweetness of the water is present, but the dirtiness took over and we just said this is dirty water. Now one did not bring attention, one has not bring his attention to the pure water. There is a purity in this water, but I'm looking at the dirtiness. One makes personal effort and puts alum in this water. I put alum, in Gujarati it says fatakdi. I put fatakdi or alum in this water. Once I put alum in this water, the dirt goes on the bottom and the purity of the water is now perceived. This water is now pure, cool, drinkable. With this act, in the dirty water, the dirt settles on the bottom and on the top part, clear, cool water is perceived. Same way, when I have the wrong concept, I have wrong concept, I have rag and dvesh, I have influence of attachment and aversion, and that's all I see it. But behind that, within that state, there's a purity of soul is also present, which I'm not able to perceive because my attention is drawn to the influence of attachment and aversion state only. My attention is drawn to the wrong concept only, mithyatva only. So my concept is to the mithyatva, rag and dvesh. So I don't see the purity of soul which is hidden in this situation. So over here I put alum. Same way in myself, I put my personal effort and try to separate influence of attachment and aversion from my pure state of the soul. And when I do that, I perceive my pure state. And so that's an example Acharya Bhagavan gives to help us understand that within that dirty water, the purity is there. Within that soul, within that nigot soul, within that lowest form of light soul, within the soul like us, there is a purity is also there. If we bring our attention to that, if we just take our attention away from influence of attachment and aversion, if you go beyond, yes, purity is there, and I'll be able to perceive that purity. And that's my personal effort. I have to do that. By understanding this one, Now I have to start using the discriminative science, and I have to start understanding that Rag is different and I am different. I have to analyze those facts, and by analyzing those things, by reciting those things, by meditating on those things, one fine moment will occur in which my attention now will be going to the eternal soul substance, and purity will be perceived. So over here, muddy water. Mud is a fruition of deluding karma. Muddy water, soul soiled with a rag and dvesh, or deluding state. That's a muddy water. Purity of water is not perceived, means serene, all-knowing virtue of the soul is not perceived. Nirmal Gnayak Bhav, Tiro Bhav Thayo Che. Tiro Bhav means it is not perceived. So serene, all-knowing virtue of the soul is not perceived because I'm perceiving the dirty water. Water has never become dirty. Water maintained its H2O and purity. All-knowing eternal soul substance has never been disturbed. Even in the lowest form of life, Nigod, or 5 cents sentient souls like us, the eternal soul substance is never been soiled, never been disturbed. The impurity perceived only in the mode. The eternal soul substance is pure and pure and pure forever. Use of alum here, Fatakdi, one taking refuge in the pure point of view, taking refuge in the eternal true state of the soul. Knowledge is now according to the innate state. Suddhanai Anusar Gnan Thaishe. Means I bring my attention to the eternal soul substance, and I take refuge in that one. And so I experience the innate state. Dirt and water get separated. Deluding state, influence of attachment, influence of aversion, they are, and on the other side, all knower soul substance, they get separated. Ved Gnan occurs. Discriminative science occur, and now we know the two separate things. Remember, at that time, influence of attachment in some form is still present, but remember this over here, the dirt is still present in this water, but it is settling down behind, under, and we have the pure water over here. Same way, when I do the Vedgnan, the deluding state, influence of attachment, influence of aversion, they are present, but now they are separate from the all-knower soul substance. Now, on this side, the person enjoys the clear water to quench his thirst. This soul who has done this discriminative science, Ved Vignan, he ends up with experiencing the eternal true nature of the soul. So, beautiful example of this muddy water Acharya Bhagavan gives, and then he tells us that what is happening to me. I'm the one who can take care of it. Over here, you have to bring the alum to put it in the water and everything. Here, my own pure, my own understanding, my true understanding of my real state of nature. Once I understand, once I put my GPS, right now on my cell phone will direct me wherever to go. But remember, how can I explain to you guys? You guys are so young, you have not seen those triptych from the AAA. But when we used to, I mean, I was in New York in '76, we decided to go to Florida, so went to the AAA, and they gave a triptych. They just gave all the marking, where to go, where not to get stuck, and all kind of things. And then we knew how to go. Once I understand the hierarchy, how do I go to from New York? How do I go to Florida? 95 South. Once I understand then going becomes easy. It's not a problem. Once I understand the hierarchy, and that's why in Samesar and Gurudev Kanji Swami for 45 years kept on hitting one thing and one thing only: understand, understand, knowledge, knowledge. You understand who you are. You understand the real nature. You understand what this mode is made up of. You understand why mode became impure. You understand how can I remove this impurity from me? How can I bring my attention to the... So those are the things that we have to do. Understand, understand, understand. The knowledge, knowledge, knowledge is the important thing. Once we understand the knowledge part, then the rest of the thing is very easy. So because I have now knowledge, what prevents me to go on the right path now? From time infinite in the past, I kept on rotating into the transmigratory self again and again and again and again. Now I realize what's the right thing to do. Why should I not continue to go on that path? Srimadji said rightly. He said, you realize your soul, you bring your attention to the eternal soul substance. Thereafter, if you don't get Samyak Darshan, come to me, I'll give you. Means he says with a definite thing that once you have once your attention is brought to eternal soul substance, you have a Samyak Darshan. And once you have Samyak Darshan, once you have right faith, once you have self-realization, definitely within a very, very short time, one will obtain nirvana. One will obtain Siddha Dasha. So it's not difficult. Self-realization, how? These are the pathway Acharya Bhagwan has shown to us. And we are fortunate, 2000 years back, Kunkun Swami wrote down this one. And that too, Kunkun Swami, with his own capacity, he had gone to Magde Kshetra, and he listened to the Omkar Dhvani and from the Simanda Swami. He stayed there for 8 days. He discussed lots of things to the Sutta Kevali and everything. And thereafter he came back and he created the scripture. So these scriptures are directly from Omniscient Lord's message, from Omniscient Lord Divya Dhvani, from Omniscient Lord's divine sound. And we are fortunate that in this day and age, we have these things available and we are able to understand. We have the intellect, we have understanding, we have a zeal to understand more. We are really, really understanding this thing. And now after understanding how much it takes to put it into action, it can come just like that. So this is what it is. We will continue this one next time. I think the time is already up. A couple of minutes are there. If you have any question, then we can entertain those questions. This muddy water thing is a very nicely explained. It gives really, really nice way of understanding where I am, what I have to do, how can I do it,
Your uncle?
Yes.
I'd like to ask you and just put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Would everybody be open to, and would you most of all consider extending this to 90 minutes? Perhaps, maybe starting at 8:30 Eastern Central Time and ending at the same time. I'm just putting it out there.
I don't have any problem. It's everybody. I think everybody else's time is important. I mean, whatever.
I'm okay with it.
Any objections?
I think it's a good idea. I don't know if we want to do it with like a 5-minute break in between, just to stretch our legs or whatever, or even if, Kirat uncle, you get tired for speaking that long.
No, I'll be okay. I don't have any problem with that,
Then let's do it.
In fact, the people have to stop they have to just tell them, hey, time's up. You stop talking now,
Then let's do it, kid uncle.
Okay. Now, next week the timings are changing, right? You guys are changing the clock, right?
Yeah.
Gosh, in the whole entire universe, we are only the wise people not changing the clock, and so we get most suffering, So we'll have the same time from right now. We have 9 o'clock your time, right? Eastern time.
Yeah.
So 9 to 10:30. Will it be okay with you guys? I don't have any problem because it will be.
Kid uncle, would you consider starting at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time? Is that doable for you?
8:30 Eastern, which will be 5:30 my time, 5:30 to 7. Could be okay. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
You know what? I know you want to do it earlier. My only thing is sometimes we have late work meetings or something to do. Okay, let's try it. If it's a problem, I'll say something.
No, and we'll put it on. I'm going to send out the link that one of our Hamal. Hamal, are you there today? Hamal has put all this lectures on YouTube. Oh, Hamal, you are there. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Hamal has done a fantastic job, and he had uploaded for last 3 years or 3.5 years, whatever we are doing it. Everything is on YouTube, and I'm going to send the link to all of you today. So that way, if you were to pull something out, then you can just review those things. Okay. And time to time, every 3-4 months, Hamal helps me out to put everything on it. So right now, maybe before I went to India, so October things are there. Up to October, everything is on. Okay.
Great.
All right. Okay. Can we do the closing then?
Sure.
Any other questions if you have it? So we can just so time wise, we'll just start at 8:30 New York Times, 8:30 to 10. Okay. All right. जावानी के ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, सोवाणी मस्तक नमो सदा देत हूँ ढाक. 9 times Mukha mantra. Namo Ram. Jai Janendra, Michami Dukram. Thank you.
Michami Dukkam.
Thanks,
Jai
man.
Janendra.
Bye.
See you next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay, bye.
Jai
Bye.
Jinendra.
Jai Janendra.